Hello and welcome back everyone to the lesson 7 in this playlist. We'll be talking about our urgency and distress calls. We'll be discussing the formats, the situations that you'll give these calls in, and what are the replies that are expected from you. So, let's start with talking about what a pan-pan call is. So, pan-pan call, if for those of you who've studied regulations, the two main broad divisions between the situations a pilot faces. There's urgency and there's distress. Urgency situations are basically those situations which are not life-threatening, but they require immediate assistance. Say there's a passenger who's fainted, there's a medical emergency on board, there's an aircraft system failure that requires immediate attention from the ATC, or there are other emergencies that are there on board. Okay, it could probably be that there has been a fight on board, there's somebody who's fainted, there's somebody who's having a heart attack. There could be multiple reasons. But again, it is to your best judgment that these are not life-threatening situations, but they are still situations which require immediate assistance. Another definition which you'll come across for an urgency situation are situations which are not immediately life-threatening, but could potentially become life-threatening. Okay, so that's an urgency situation. Then you have something that's known as a distress situation. Distress situations are those situations which are life-threatening. For example, loss of engine power, loss of aircraft control, loss of hydraulic power, airframe damages, falling off of a main landing gear, falling off of a door, turbulence, pilot incapacitation, spatial disorientation, primary control failure, fire on board, unlawful interference. All of these situations, if you go through them and you take a moment and think about them, they're really life-threatening. Okay, they could lead for a plane to carry out a forced landing or what we call as a crash, right? Whereas the situations that you saw under Pan-Pan, the urgency situations, they most likely would not end up in a forced landing if they're tackled immediately, right? So let's begin with how do we tackle this in an RT exam. So for our Pan-Pan calls that are our urgency calls, we give them in situations that are not immediately life-threatening. Okay, let's say you've gotten lost, or there's a passenger and crew medical emergency, there's an aircraft system failure that requires an immediate route or altitude change, other emergencies that require immediate assistance. These all come under urgency signals and urgency calls, and all of these calls have to be started with a pan-pan. Okay, now pan-pan, why do you use these terms? Why do you use the terms pan-pan? Why do you use the terms Mayday? This is to let the ATC know that you are facing a situation, right? It gathers attention, right? Now, so we start our calls with pan-pan, okay, and we repeat it thrice. So the format in aviation is to repeat pan-pan, that is the combination of the word pan-pan, thrice. So normal call would start with, or an urgency call would start with pan-pan, 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 okay? Then going forward in the format, like we've already discussed, there's this basic skeletal format. We'll be starting with pan-pan, 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 followed by the basic skeleton of who's calling, whom have you called, what frequency are you on. So pan-pan, 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 station called, station calling, what frequency are you calling on. Now, very important for you to remember that in a pan-pan call, you'll first describe your condition, basically what situation is it that you're facing, okay? Followed by you'll give your position according to your position report. You'll give it in terms of DME, in terms of flight level, in terms of route. Then you'll give your intentions as to what do you want to do about it. Okay, so we've already spoken about this. We'll be talking in terms of condition, position and intention when we're talking about a pan-pan call. So let's look at a question. Our flight plan says that our aircraft is taking off from VIDP. We are 1 iFly 968. We are taking off at 2120 hours. Our route is Whiskey 20. From there we are flying to Bravo Papa Lima. From there after we are taking Whiskey 38. Flight levels to be maintained will be flight level 310 and 320. So let's take a moment and trace the route on our map. So we're coming down Whiskey 20 from Delhi, that's this. We're coming down all the way to Bravo Papa Lima. From there we're going to take Whiskey 38 and proceed further. Okay, so far this is all the detail we know about. Fine. So the question says that you are 25 nautical miles from Bhopal and a co-pilot has fainted. Now, if the co-pilot has fainted, okay, he's not died, Okay, he's not suffering, he's not having an attack of fits, he's not having a heart attack, he's fainted. There could be multiple reasons why he could have fainted. So my first reaction wouldn't be to declare an emergency, because this is a situation that is not immediately going to put us in danger. But if I were unable to solve this, it could potentially lead for us to carry out a forced landing or could become life threatening. As of now, it isn't. It's just something that I really need to pay urgent attention to. Right, if somebody has fainted and I need the pilot in cockpit, this is something I need an immediate attention towards, which is why this is going to be qualifying as a pan-pan call. So what am I going to do? So the call in this case would be, okay, we're 25 nautical miles to Bhopal, so let's first place our aircraft. We are roughly somewhere here. Okay, we are roughly somewhere here. Okay, 25 nautical miles to Bhopal, co-pilot has fainted. So what do? We start a call by pan-pan, 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 Nagpur control. Why Nagpur control? Because we are in their area. And what is the flight level we are maintaining? We are maintaining flight level of 310. Why? Because we are roughly on an eastbound route. Okay, I'm just brushing up what we've already studied. So pan-pan, 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 Nagpur control. This is iFly 968 on 123.9. Okay, that's the Nagpur area controls frequency. From there on, what is our condition? Our condition is quoted from the question. Co-pilot has fainted. What is our position? Our position is 25 DME inbound to Bravo Papa Lima at 2220 hours, maintaining flight level 310 on Whiskey 20. Okay. What is our intention? Our intention is to carry out a landing at Bravo Papa Lima. So that's what we tell them. Request landing at Bravo Papa Lima. So what's the whole complete call? Pan-pan, 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 Nagpur control. This is iFly 968 on 123.9. Co-pilot fainted. Position 25 DME inbound Bravo Papa Lima. 2220 hours. Flight level 310 on Whiskey 20. Requesting landing at Bravo Papa Lima. It's a very standard, very simple pan-pan call. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's talk about a Mayday call. Now, Mayday call is reserved for life-threatening situations. These are situations which potentially could lead to a forced landing and they require immediate assistance. Okay, they require an immediate resolution. Why am I stressing so much on immediate resolution is something you'll understand when we talk about the format. So these all things are interlinked and this has to come to you naturally, which is why I'm stressing on it so much. Now, what are some life-threatening situations? And these are just examples. Chances are that you will have to use your best judgment in the exam. So, loss of aircraft control, aircraft upset by turbulence, pilot incapacitation, spatial disorientation, primary control surface, structural failure, engine failure that leads to forced landing or ditching, fire on board, and unlawful interferences. All of these things qualify for you to declare a distress situation. These are things that potentially are life-threatening and could lead to a forced landing. So, what's the format for a Mayday call? Again, just like pan-pan, to gather attention that you are facing, you're in a distress situation, and to catch the ATC's attention, you're going to declare a Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Okay? So, just like pan-pan, you're going to repeat it thrice. You're going to say Mayday, 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 followed by whatever the remaining call is. So, let's look at the format. The format is Mayday, 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 followed by the basic skeleton of who's calling, whom are you calling, what frequency are you on. So, Mayday, 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 station called, station calling, on what frequency are you now? The major difference between a pan-pan and a Mayday call is here. That here you start with the condition you're facing. You definitely tell the ATC about the condition you're facing, but you also make it very clear of what are your intentions. Now let's take a moment and think about this in a very natural way. Let's say that you're facing a situation, let's say your life is in danger. Would you really wait for the ATC to figure out a solution for you? Or will you, because you are in the middle of that situation, come up with the most probable solution for that situation and declare it to the ATC that, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. Please help and clear all of this, clear the route for me or make the situation happen. Let's say I want to carry out a landing. Okay, I'm not going to wait for the ATC to come up with a suggestion. I'm going to declare it to the ATC that this is what I want to do. And the ATC will manage everything around what I want to be done. Right? Why? Because here my life is in danger. The ATC is going to grant it for the pilot to make the decision as to what is to be done in this life-threatening situation, since it's the pilot who's facing it, right? The ATC can do only so much. In a Pan-Pan situation, on the other hand, it was a situation that had to be tackled. The situation could be come up, like the situation could have been it could have been discussed between the pilot and the ATC. They could come up to a solution together. But in a Mayday call, because the pilot is in the middle of that life-threatening situation, he has the whole right to declare what does he want to do. There isn't enough time for him to wait for the ATC to come up with a suggestion, right? And that is the stark difference between a Mayday and a Pan-Pan call. In a Mayday call, you're first going to declare what condition are you facing, followed by what are your intentions. Okay, you're first going to declare what condition are you facing and what are your immediate intentions, which will work as a solution for the condition you're facing, followed by what is your current position. Also, you inform the ATC about the number of people on board, about what heading are you flying to, and what the amount of fuel on board. You do this just as a safety measure, just in case things were to go wrong. The ATC has a tally of the amount of people they were on board. They also know what was your last heading that you were flying, so that they know where to look for you. They also know you also declare how much fuel on board you have, so that the ATC knows how much time would you have been in the air and what radius would you be in. Okay, these are very common sense things. So let's come back again. Let's talk about what a Mayday call format is. So the format for a distress call is Mayday, 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 station called, station calling, on frequency, what's the condition you're facing, what's your intention to solve that situation, and what's your position. You give your position in terms of DME, flight level, and route. Then you also tell them what are the number of people on board, what's your heading, and what's your fuel on board. So let's look at a situation. It's the same flight plan. We are flying from VIDP. We are an iFly 968. The time is 2120 hours. Route is Whiskey 20 Bravo Papa Lima. From there we take Whiskey 38. We are maintaining flight level 310 and 320. Now, we are 25 nautical miles from Bhopal and we observe fire on engine number 1. Now, a fire on engine number 1 is something that is a distress situation, right? Even though plane can technically fly with one engine, I still want to land, right? I don't know what caused the engine fire. I don't know if there could be an explosion. It could also probably, get my wing on fire, and that could lead to my airplane crashing. So my first reaction and intention would be to, hey, let's get on the ground, right? I want to do that. This is not something that I can think about and I can tackle, or this is not a situation that can get any more worse. Like, it definitely can get worse, but it's already pretty grave. Having an engine failure on a twin engine aircraft is a big problem. Hence, this qualifies as a Mayday call. So what's my call going to be like? My call is going to be along the lines of Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is Nagpur control. This is iFly 968 on frequency 123.9. That's the area control frequency of Nagpur. We are facing a fire on engine number 1. Will commence emergency landing at Bhopal. So do you see how I informed them of my condition, but I also declared what are my intentions. No longer am I requesting. I'm not requesting them for anything. I'm declaring what am I going to do. I declare that I'll be carrying out an emergency landing at Bhopal, and now the ATC has to comply. The ATC has to clear the air route. The ATC has to clear the runway, right? Now, obviously, this is subjected to some rules and regulations. There's subjected to possibility. Okay, it's not like you could ask for anything under the sky, but talking about the scope in your RT exam, you can feel free and you can declare what do you want to do in the present situation. So in this situation, I declare that I will commence an emergency landing at Bhopal. Then I tell them about what my position is. So I'm 25 nautical miles from Bhopal. Time is 2220 hours. Flight level is 320 and I'm on Whiskey 20. People on board are 150. I'm flying on a heading of 170 magnetic. My fuel on board is 1 ton. So let's go over the whole call again. The question is, I'm 25 nautical miles from Bhopal and I observe a fire on engine number 1. My immediate reaction as a pilot would be, Mayday, 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 Nagpur control. This is iFly 968 on frequency 123.9. Fire on engine number 1 will commence an emergency landing at Bhopal. 25 DME from Bravo Papa Lima at 2220 hours. Flight level 320 on Whiskey 20. People on board 150 people. Heading 170 degrees magnetic. Fuel on board 1 ton. Okay? Don't forget that you have to talk about your condition, then your intention, and then your position when you're talking about a Mayday call. When you're talking about a Pan-Pan call, you're going to go forward with condition, position, followed by your intentions. Okay? In a Pan-Pan call, you're going to request for a certain solution. In a Mayday call, you're going to declare the solution which you think as a pilot is the most workable solution for that particular situation. Now it can also be likely that no ATC is in contact when you're facing this emergency or distress situation. It's very likely. So what do you do in that situation? In that situation, we've already spoken about this. You speak to the next possible people, right? Who is it? You're going to talk to the people in that airspace. What do you refer to them as? You refer to them as all stations, right? It's all the stations that are listening to you. Since everybody is on one common frequency, all of these are also going to be able to hear you declare a pan-pan or an emergency or an urgency call. And how do you declare this? You declare this on the interpilot frequency of 121.5. So what's the format there? So format for an urgency call when you have no contact with the ATC would begin again with a pan-pan. Okay, this is for urgency. So the format would be pan-pan, 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 all stations, in the vicinity of, in my case, this would be 20 nautical miles of Bravo Papa Lima. Station calling. What's the station calling? I am 6E968, right? On frequency, what was my last followed frequency? Last I was on the area control frequency, and so I'm going to contact 123.9er. What is the aircraft type? I'm an Airbus A320. What's the condition? The condition I'm facing it, let's consider the previous question. The condition I'm facing is co-pilot fainted, right? So co-pilot fainted. What's my position? My position is 20 DME inbound Bravo Papa Lima, flight level 310, route whiskey 20 at 2220 hours. What's my intention? Requesting to carry out landing at Bravo Papa Lima, right? Then an additional thing that I request from the other aircrafts in the sky are I'm requesting them to relay this message to the ATC, right? So requesting relay message to ATC, all external lights are on, keep a lookout. So I'll go over the whole call again. This is a pan-pan call for when the ATC is not in contact. So pan-pan, 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 all stations in the vicinity of whatever station you are around. Station calling on whatever current frequency you are on, followed by your aircraft type, followed by the condition you are facing, which in our example would be co-pilot fainted. My current position, which is 20 inbound Bravo Papa Lima, maintaining flight level 310 on whiskey 20. My intentions are to requesting landing at Bravo Papa Lima. I'm requesting everybody to relay this message to ATC. All external lights are on. Please keep a lookout. And you have to read back this whole call on 121.5, that's the interpilot frequency, and 123.45, that is the search and rescue frequency, which is always monitored. Then you have format for an urgency call with no ATC. Again, it's very similar. You start with Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. All stations in the vicinity of 20 nautical miles of Bravo Papa Lima. Station calling. Your call sign, in our case, this is 6E968. On our frequency of 123.9er. We are an Airbus A320. Our condition we are facing is fire on engine number 1. What is our intention? We'll carry out landing at Bravo Papa Lima. What's our current position? 20 inbound Bravo Papa Lima, maintaining flight level 310 on whiskey 20 at 2220 hours. POB 150, heading 170 degrees magnetic. My fuel on board is 1 ton. I request relaying this message to the ATC. All external lights are switched on. Keep a lookout. Followed by a readback on 123.45 and 121.5, which are the interpilot frequencies and the frequencies that are always monitored. Okay, so very simple. The only additional thing you're going to do is, in place of calling a particular station, you'll be calling all the other aircrafts in the vicinity. And since you're calling these aircrafts, you want to be identified. You'll also mention that all your external lights are on so that they can look out for you. One additional thing you're going to do is, your whole Mayday call, you're going to request all the aircrafts who are listening to relay this to the ATC. So I'll drop my answer for a pan-pan call in the first comment. I'll pin it down. But I want all of you all to take a moment and same situation, same question as this. Let's imagine that we were not in contact with the ATC. So give me your answers in the comments. I'll pin my answer in the top of the comment box. I hope this helps. These are very simple calls with very simple formats. Just keep in mind the difference. Where is it condition, position, intention, and where is it condition, intention, position. That's it. I'll see you in the next class.